We got a lot to talk about today. We've got some player council notes, which give us some insight, some things that are becoming to Marvel Strike Force. Also, there's been some headlines out there of Scopely buying the makers of Pokemon Go. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But before we get into it, there's some things going on in game. There is a chain offer that can be found on the web store and also in game where you can get training materials. And I suggest thinking about training materials. I know I was in a position where I thought that training materials were endless and I hit 104 and I ran out. Now I'm using some of my arena credits to buy them on a daily basis. And I'm also farming the nodes with my campaign energy that give a small amount of the training orb fragments. But just be mindful of training materials. It's a real bottleneck that even I'm experiencing. Also, there was a small change to bumps. So bumps is going to be basic, ultimus, mega, premium, and supplies. So it's an acronym. And what that means is that these characters will now be found in those orbs. So be on the lookout in the Ultimate store. That's primarily what I try to take advantage when this happens. Direct, Red Star, and Diamond promotions for these characters are now available for the supply section in the Elite store. And I've been getting screenshots from players and verbal confirmation that they are in fact in there. Absolutely. So this is the headline for right now, is that Pokemon Go developer Niantic reported selling to Scopely for some astronomical number like $3.5 billion. And the reality of this is that the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Saudi Arabia created a video game division called Savvy Games like in 2021, and they are looking to diversify their holdings away from oil by investing money in profitable companies. And one of their largest purchases to date was Scopely, and now they are adding Pokemon Go to their portfolio. So I feel like they are using the name Scopely as the buyers of Pokemon Go, but really it's the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Saudi Arabia, Savvy Games, and just Scopely sounds better than that, I guess. I don't know, but it's not really like Scopely directly buying Pokemon Go. It's really Scopely's parent holding company, Savvy, and the Saudi Arabia, because they've put a lot of money. I think when they bought Scopely, which was a while ago, it was for $4.9 billion. And I believe that when the Savvy Games group was formed, it was seeded with like some astronomical number between like 30 and 40 billion dollars. So that's happening. I don't think this means anything as far as Scopely or Marvel Strike Force or anything at all. This is just a headline, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Battleworld is back. I've only played 2 days of Battleworld, and a lot of people are saying Battleworld is more of the same. Just give us the boss battle once or twice a week. It's only new and unique part of the mode. Difficulty increases isn't going to make the battles in this mode any more enjoyable. It's just more of the same, and I feel like this is a general consensus right here. And this was from the Player Voice Movement website. How was your experience with day one of Battleworld? Great, happy to have it back, and this is much better. And then this is kind of where I am. It's back, but it's still not very good. And that was where the largest percentage of votes were coming in. And then a few number of people are saying terrible. The changes aren't any real improvement. And then lastly, I prefer the previous iteration of Battleworld and dislike the changes made. For me, I kind of want to see it through all 4 days. They did make some changes to, or they fixed some of the bugs that with the null boss fight. And I want to see how competitive that is and whether or not it's fun or not. Like maybe, tweaking with teams and playing it a certain way and learning the mechanics a little bit better will be enjoyable. I, for one, kind of liked the bleed mechanic, breaking the damage cap, but they got rid of that. So we'll have to see how that works. And then also, as far as the other day, whoever designed the Ares with 10 billion HP, can go step on a Lego, which I think is hilarious, like of an insult. I just love that. So there's an Ares in there, and most people are reporting that Spider Society got through it just fine. I used, it was suggested to me by my alliance to use a hybrid of Spider Society and Night Stalkers on that particular node that has the monstrous, I don't know, like 2,134 million power level. I don't know, it was something outrageous, but it did have like a lot of HP. So I was Oath, Blade, and then the 3 good Spider Societies, like the brand new ones, which would be Penny, Peter B, and Pav. So that's where the way it goes. Now, let's go into the player council notes, which there is some stuff in here that I thought was good. Some mention that they may be fixing the stores because there's been a stockpiling amount of currency. I know I've complained. Pretty much everybody that has direct contact with Scopely, from what I can see, has said something to them. So this was the notes from a week ago from the player council who met with some of the people there at Scopely. Council discussed a number of topics, new and old, as well as reviewing some of the most recent issues. As always, want to try and stay on top of ongoing topics, while also helping to address immediate concerns. Player Council is gearing up for our next meeting with RJ. RJ is the general manager. He's the guy in charge. I don't know his exact title, but he is basically oversees Marvel Strike Force in a few weeks, expecting to get some early info on long tail projects and some high level strategic perspectives. Codes. We know this is a hot topic of late, with QR codes flying and gift codes being sidelined for the moment. Safety concerns have been shared and heard, and numerous people have brought this up to my attention. I relayed that to them as well. QR codes from an unknown source are problematic in the same way as clicking a link in an email from a source, from a sender that you do not know, can open up things to all kinds of problems. And so a lot of people are saying that, the pictures can be spoofed and people could be clicking on things that could be malicious. Marvel Strike Force player experience team, that's what PX, player experience team, can utilize these in some better ways than promo codes, which were originally intended to be new player gifts. These codes can be leveraged in many more ways to reward the community, but pros, cons, and potential adjustments are being evaluated. Confirmed, these codes are not used to collect anyone's data, but to open the game and reward, nothing more. And I did a quick Google search on this, and in my 2 minutes of researching this, there was not a lot of data that Scopely could collect from a QR code. And that was the conclusion that I came to independently, and it's good to see this here as well. New playtest. Player Council has been participating in more playtesting in recent weeks, and we're gearing up for a test and feedback on some new things coming to the game. I can confirm that is happening. Team orbs and Liberty. If you look at the War Machine and Captain Falcon costume orbs, you can see there are some clues showing them playing with the release of the team. The delay in the team orb being released, how that lined up with Peggy's Red Star orb booster rates, also show that they are continuing to try to shake things up. Obviously, the Peggy orb offer snafu. Yeah, you could basically, at the time, spend like, let's say $25 and get a 6. Some people got a 7-star Peggy. I got like a 6 with 25. Well, I bought 2. I bought an offer. But anyways, obviously the Peggy offer was snafu through this for a bit of a loop. Council certainly wanted to ensure amicable solution arrived for the bug offer for all involved. And I feel like the people that probably were slighted the most on that were the people that spent, upwards of over $300 to max out Peggy, while everybody else was able to buy the bugged offer if they wanted to. I don't even know if Peggy was worth buying, to be frank with you. I just don't know. The War Team. Anyways, monthly item. A number of people have reached out and otherwise expressed their difficulties in getting the monthly item in the last event. Yeah, a lot of people said that to me. We'll continue to try and alert to challenges in scoring early, but this should not be read into as change of expectations. What an engaged player is or shifting the goalposts. What do you mean engaged player is not wallet derived according to Scopely? What are they trying to say? Engaged player to me means somebody that plays every day and, is pretty consistent with the game. I mean, we've got a lot of engaged players that are active either on Reddit or Discord or on YouTube's or Twitch, but that's kind of what I think of an engaged player. Somebody that just enjoys Marvel Strike Force in the way that a hobbyist would if they had a hobby. To me, I kind of look at Marvel Strike Force like a hobby. Valentine event store. Yeah, this was of concern too, which they're going to talk about here. Duration of this store was in line with previous event stores that aren't extended, but the awakened abilities featured didn't seem to be terrible attainable without a ton of coring. A lot of people said this to me. Several suggested and discussed to avoid this in the future, and highlighting the perceptions of this. Changes in the store weren't an option, but the awakened abilities have come to through other means. Stores, and this is probably, in my opinion, one of the main problems with Marvel Strike Force that I feel like they could be focusing on, instead of, I just feel like this is something that could be addressed and should be of high importance. There's just little to do with this currency, little to do with these stores. There's not a lot of chase for some people right now in Marvel Strike Force. Stores. We've been beating the drum for store improvements and concerns for currency accumulation for a while. I would say the people that I know that have been talking about more than a year, for a long time. And then while there are plans in the works, and through our flags, we've seen some awakened abilities added to the War Store and continue to encourage more availability. Initial share of the ideas shows some promise. And my goodness, I just feel like this is a strange situation that's been created. And I know that there are people probably already thinking this or have already typed in the comment section on YouTube is like, the player voice movement is useless and blah, blah, blah. You know what? They can tell Scopely what is going on with the community, and it is the sole decision of Scopely to make any changes. Scopely, the game developer, is 100% responsible for the actual direction of the game and the way that the game continues to go forward. Not the player voice movement, not me, nobody else. The player voice movement is just a function of telling them what is important to the community. And they don't really have any more influence than that. It's just that realistic. It's up to Scopely can choose to ignore everybody. They can ignore Reddit. They can ignore Discord. They can ignore their Discord mods. They can ignore me. They're the ones that decide. It's their decision what to do with their game. And so I've seen this like strange frustration with people directed towards the player's voice movement that they're not doing enough. What other than telling them what the real problems with the game are, what else are they supposed to do? What can they really do? And from what I can see, they're doing what they can, which is just inform them of what the community is thinking about. Dark promotion credits diamonds. Discussed with new character diamond release and timeline for Red Star diamonds coming to the store. Suggested trickling characters to the store rather than waiting for a large group to become available at once. That's interesting. And then lastly, war. More changes being discussed, as well as some older suggestions that would require new tech to be developed, seemingly coming back as a possibility. We know there are strong advocates on both sides of this, and recent war schedule changes it may just be a time to admit that one size fits all approach is not sustainable. The feedback shared with Scopely include the full 5 team boosts seem to be less impactful and don't do enough to influence many matches. Yeah, I thought this has played out way different than I thought, and I skipped a part. We're going to go back up here. I know I missed something that was probably the most important. We're going to go back in a second, but for right here, yeah, this run Annihilators on defense, or run Astral on defense, and get a boost hasn't played that much of a change into war. Even like the Astral with a monstrous team. I mean, I think I was able to punch up huge with Mercs, APOC dropping Death Pool, and the power boost to Astral did not make a difference. This is what I was talking about. They are planning, from what I could see, to make some store improvements. Initial share of ideas shows some promise. Maybe they're going to fix things. I really hope they focus on the stores. I really, really do. It seems like something that could be penciled out on a napkin at lunch and then be implemented, and it doesn't have to be drastic. Other games have had similar issues, and it shouldn't be hard to mirror successful systems in other games. Different problem with Life and Liberty event, and the short version of this is they've got to be on offense. Unless the event requirements say offense and defense, it's just offense. And I don't feel like that's very clear, and Scopely could probably make it seem more obvious, but that's what this post is about. All right, let me know what you think in the comment section. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye for now.